The SoundCloud era was a very definitive period of time for music, with emo rap and mumble rap exploding in popularity and connecting with young people in a way that no other genre had managed to for quite some time. As with all things that explode in popularity in such a manner, CEOs will see dollar signs and attempt to cash in on the newest trend. A new rapper that fit this niche needed to be manufactured, and their music needed to sell. But what happens when the label gets the formula horribly wrong, the artist screams inauthenticity, and their industry connections are a bit too far-fetched to be believed? That's more or less exactly what happened to Baby Goth, an aspiring musician from Texas whose appearance and musical style changed rapidly to pander to label requirements in a very short space of time. After being featured on one of 2019's more substantial releases, several less than stellar interviews, and having details of her more modest past revealed after attempting to hide them, music fans were quite quick to catch on that Baby Goth's music and image wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. In today's video, we're going to examine Baby Goth's music career from her early beginnings all the way up until her recent releases in 2025. Yes, if you weren't aware, she is still making music in 2025. Please excuse how I sound in this video, guys, I have a cold. Baby Goth was born Bria Bueno in Texas in 1995. Her family is stated to have moved around a lot when she was younger, and she got into music as a teenager to soothe her social anxiety, teaching herself to play piano before creating her own songs. At the age of 16, her family would relocate to Colorado, where Bria would befriend a local girl who played bluegrass music, and the two would go on to work on music together. She then joined another bluegrass band as the lead vocalist and keyboard player. At 18, Bria would begin writing solo original songs, aiming to pursue this as a career. In 2017, Bria would release her debut EP, Babyface, under her real name, a compilation of indie pop songs that are very reminiscent of Tumblr popular artists like Melanie Martinez and Halsey. Even some of the song titles off of this EP are scarily close to those from Melanie Martinez's Crybaby era. Despite Bria travelling to LA to have the EP recorded and produced professionally, it did not gain significant traction, certainly not to the degree of launching her onto the radar of any major record companies. As Bria was a mother and a long-term partner at this point in time, gathering money to go towards the second release wasn't something she was just going to be able to do at the drop of a hat. However, after starting an Instagram page, Bria began to see some traction and became somewhat of a micro-influencer, being able to monetize it. This enabled Bria to travel to LA again, where she signed with Hitway Records. However, as the CEO of Hitway would later admit, an image was cultivated for her that involved her changing her appearance, most notably obtaining face tattoos, and also changing the style of her music entirely. With it being very late into the 2010s at this point, SoundCloud rap was dominating the world of music in a way that hadn't occurred for a genre in quite some time. Artists like Post Malone, Juice WRLD and Lil Uzi Vert were at the height of their popularity, and there was a gap in the market for a female within this niche that Bria's management felt she could fill. Despite having 2 children and a long-term partner at this point, I could not find clarification on if they were married. There are some sources that say they were married, but Baby Goth herself has denied they ever were. Hitway wanted to create the persona of a girl who was into drugs, flexing and partying. Shortly after this transformation of her appearance and persona, Baby Goth would sign to Republic Records and feature on one of the songs on Trippie Redd's album A Love Letter to You 3, mind you before she had ever released a song under the Baby Goth name. It should also be noted at this time that aside from Instagram and Tumblr, her following on every other platform was incredibly small, including SoundCloud where her Babyface EP was not visible, yet here she was being featured on one of the most anticipated albums of that year. Baby Goth would then begin working on her new music, with her debut single Swimming featuring not only Trippie Redd but also Lil Xan, another artist who seemed a bit too big for her to be working with at the time. Due to her supposed first ever single featuring 2 very notable rappers, Swimming generated a lot of discourse and attracted a lot of views. Swimming was released as the lead single of her self-titled debut EP as Baby Goth, which would release in 2019. Swimming wasn't the only track to have a big name feature, with the song Sugar featuring Wiz Khalifa of all people. The EP consisted of 5 other tracks also, with fairly generic lyrics that arguably come off as disingenuous, a lot of flexing, drug references, bragging, fairly typical of rap music of that era. The production is very slick, a lot of trap beats, described by Baby Goth herself as bubblegum trap, that again are very of their time. At the risk of this video getting absolutely flamed, I actually do quite enjoy this EP. Like I said, it might not be the most authentic thing in the world and it's super of its time, but if you don't think about it too much, these are 7 easily digestible fun bops. And while she under-enunciates her words to shit, I think her voice actually really suits this kind of music. The behind-the-scenes posted of the Swimming music video also had listeners questioning the authenticity of Baby Goth's lyrics, where she was seen barely speaking and smoking blunt after blunt, coming across as rather shy and timid rather than the character she portrays in her songs. YouTuber of Herbs and Alters made the really excellent point that if Baby Goth had leaned more into kind of the darker aspects of this style of music, you know, her struggles with anxiety, mental health, that kind of thing, her music probably would have come off as a lot more real and relatable and gone down better with audiences. Upon scrolling through her Instagram and seeing how rapid the change was from a somewhat alternative-looking indie pop girl to a face-tatted SoundCloud rapper with no SoundCloud following. Fans of this style of music grew suspicious, and industry plant allegations began being flung Bria's way, something that would increase upon the discovery of her previously released music. In an attempt to combat claims of inauthenticity against her, Baby Goth was set up with an interview on the No Jumper podcast. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you've probably seen it. It went down as a massive PR disaster and didn't go very well. Baby Goth spends the entire interview barely whispering into her microphone, constantly moving away from it and being barely audible, and rolling and smoking a blunt very awkwardly. She defends her work with Trippie Redd as the pair having the same audio engineer and meeting through that, even going as far as to state her appearance on his album wasn't planned and she just happened to be sitting in on one of his recording sessions when it was decided. She talks about the music she was into growing up, stating that she went through scene and hardcore phases when she was younger, but not seeming very interested in discussing them in any depth. She acknowledges her roots in bluegrass and acknowledges the Babyface EP briefly, citing it as more of a passion project rather than a serious attempt at a music career, and also talks about her baby daddy and 2 kids, stating that they were never married but it was common law. The interviewer states people believe she is lying about being single, which I thought was really odd. Baby Goth then goes on to defend herself knowing and working with Lil Xan as a connection through her manager, as well as defending her newfound aesthetic. To be fair, in her defense, I do feel like the face tattoos and maybe occasionally wearing grills were the only extreme jump in her appearance, so I don't see this as a point to be laboured on like I've seen a lot of people do. She has consistently had other tattoos and colourful hair since before she was signed to Hitway. She also defends her marijuana use, stating it's medicinal for her social anxiety and not part of promoting an image, which is fairly believable. I'm using the word defend a lot here, and it's honestly because this interview feels much more like an interrogation and focuses solely on the claims of inauthenticity against her. The interviewer as a whole also comes off as extremely disinterested, though to be fair to him, this could be down to her refusing to speak into the microphone clearly. There's no real interest in her music or creative process, and I'm not really sure if it was a thinly veiled PR strategy by Hitway or just a bad interview on both the parts of Baby Goth and No Jumper. This interview prompted further digging, and internet detectives were able to discover that the 1998 birthday listed for Baby Goth did not match the 1995 birthday listed for Bria Bueno, making it a bit more obvious why her team were so keen to hide the fact that she was a mother. The constant unveiling of more and more hidden or altered details of her past led to more and more allegations of artificiality from fans, and as a result, none of her songs after Swimming performed anywhere near as well, even after being set up with more interviews, having music videos released, a Genius interview, or a feature as big as Wiz Khalifa. And just like that, Baby Goth became just another internet story after a couple of months, deemed a failed industry plant by music fans at large, though she did manage to develop a small dedicated core fan base who continue to support her. Even if Baby Goth had wanted to plan a full-on comeback at this point in time, it would have been a bit difficult due to, a major historical event that would affect the world the next year. Baby Goth did release a small stream of singles during this time in 2020, one of which would be featured on the Birds of Prey soundtrack. These songs would be a bit of a departure from the EP she put out the previous year, dropping the emo rap influences and moody soundscape for more upbeat instrumentals and more melodic vocals. Her presence on Instagram and TikTok would also grow rapidly during this time as she began to focus more on content creation, even starting an OV account, which saw decent success. These days it could be argued she's more well known for her online presence than she ever was for her music. In 2022, Baby Goth began sharing that she was gearing up for her next release, which she planned to release independently. This release kept continuously getting pushed back, and a new full-length to this date still has not been released, despite promises being made numerous times. Hitway Records seemed to have no real interest in helping her create new music, hence her decision to do an independent release. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the CEO of Hitway would go on to admit he cultivated Bria's image for her and stated she did not have a personality, citing this as a need for an extreme appearance. Ouch! Several of the original uploads of her music videos have also been deleted from YouTube. Baby Goth has also cited Hitway as the reason she could not release new music, stating she was attempting to get out of her contract with them. As she hadn't released new music in close to 5 years, it came as a big surprise for those who still followed her that she released 2 new songs so far in 2025. One is a featured artist, but one is her own single. It should be noted that all of the artists she has collaborated with since the self-titled EP are not industry giants like her original features. Her new solo single, Replay, follows in that more melodic trap vein she built up in 2020, and while it's not really my thing musically, I will say it's by far the most confident she's ever sounded in her delivery on a song, and is probably the best vocals on display in her discography. While neither of her 2025 releases have exploded in popularity by any means, they are seeing pretty decent traction. It'll be interesting to see if Baby Goth manages to bounce back from becoming a cautionary tale of a failed industry plant and manages to carve out a new niche for herself in the music industry. even if that means having a small but dedicated fan base rather than becoming a household name. Industry plan conversations had come into play before Baby Goth, but I do feel like she became a very topical one throughout 2019 and accelerated their place in music discourse. It continues to be a hot topic today, with artists like Ice Spice and Billie Eilish also having had accusations thrown at them over the years. While Baby Goth has never confirmed or spoke on her status as an industry plant since her initial interviews in 2019, it's definitely a case where it's more or less safe to assume it was something that was attempted by her labels and management due to the overwhelming evidence. That being said, I do think she did have some level of interest and passion in the music she was making, a lot more than people were making out for sure. Overall, I do consider myself to be a fan of her early work, and I think she comes across as a very sweet person and I wish her the best. It will be interesting to see if she remains consistently releasing music after these two recent releases. As always guys, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it and let me know what your thoughts are. Do any of you like Baby Goth's music? If you're interested in more conversations surrounding industry plans, I actually made a video earlier this year about the Tramp Stamps, if you remember that band. I'll be sure to link it in the description if any of you want to watch it. Anyways, stay safe, take care of yourself, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!